in the doghouse, aren't you? Manky cat. So he's actually called Manky. No teeth on him though. Got fangs like Dracula. He's making a bit of a nuisance of himself with one of our lady cats at the moment. Not this one. This one's trans, aren't you? I've had the op. Had him off. Poor little monkey. Come on, Rios, up here. Get up here, come on. Get up here, here he is. What you doing? What you doing? Loves coming up this house. Come on. Get off my house. So, you join me today. Probably not going to be a very long live. Mind you, that depends on you guys, really. But, just after having several conversations with various friends of late about the current situation between Russia and Ukraine, it's kind of, I won't say obvious, but it's becoming apparent that just most people don't really care because they don't really understand it. And there's loads of YouTube channels pumping out all sorts of facts, telling you all sorts of wonderful things, and then you've got European leaders repeating and regurgitating their stuff. And to the average person that goes to work, comes home, turns the TV on for 10 minutes, they're not getting the gist of it. They're getting a load of deep-seated technical, oh, in 2014 this happened, in 2008 this happened, and this because of this, and then, you know, it just goes on and on and on. And nobody really is, I think, getting, I say nobody, there are some people. There's some people that have the luxury of time, like me, so we kind of get what's going on. So what I thought I would do is just do a quick live, just to put it in layman's terms, the current situation, in idiot-proof terms. And the best way to do that is just to imagine you and your neighbour, rather than Russia, Ukraine, and the US, and NATO, and EU, and Ursula von der Leyen, and all of these other people. Let's just break it down into very basic and simple terms, because it's easy to do. And the basic and simple terms are, your neighbour has been throwing rocks at you for 8 years over the fence. He's hit a few of your friends, he's killed a couple of your cats, and he's permanently shouting abuse at you. You're evil, gonna kill you, blah, blah, blah. And you've kind of worked your way through that, and you've put some defences up, you've put a higher fence up and stuff, and, you know, you just ignore him. But he's now got his mates involved, and for the last 4 years, him and his mates have been ramping up what they've been doing. So they've been doing more aggressive stuff, bigger rocks. Now they're starting to harm your children, and it's getting a little bit out of control. So now you're having to say, do you know what, you need to stop doing this. And you've been saying that for probably 10 years, but it's sort of fallen on deaf ears. And because you've been saying it for 10 years, your neighbour's not taking any notice at all, because you've just been a mouth. You've just been talking and done nothing. So in his eyes, you're weak. You're just a mouth. You say a lot and do nothing. So it must mean you're weak. Well, now he's announced that he's gone up the bank and he's noticed that you've got several bank accounts, one of them being a savings account with a load of money in it. So he's told the bank he's having that, And the bank have gone a bit, well, we can't. So he says, well, you can, because I'm going to go to the local council and I'm going to get all the councillors to tell you that you're going to give me that money. So then he's come back and he's told you, yeah, I found your savings account, I'm having that, and you ain't ever getting it back. Oh, okay. Right, so that's what's going down, is it? That's okay, is it? That's acceptable, is it? And then he continues with the rhetoric that he has been doing for the last 10 years. Only now, he's not just, as we would say in Britain, slagging you off. Now he's turning around and saying to you, he's going to kill you. He's going to come over the fence. He's going to come through the fence with him and his mates. And all the while this has been going on, he has been paying your other neighbours to hate you as well. So he's been going around to all your other neighbours and either blackmailing them or forcing them, bullying them, or bribing them to be against you as well. So now, in the neighbourhood that you lived in, which was once very nice and pleasant, you are now surrounded by very, very hostile people that are throwing rocks at you from one direction at the moment. Now, they have all formed a little club together, and it's called the We Hate Russia Club. And they are all banging their drum. They're all outside their front door every night, smacking a saucepan. And they're all saying, not only do we hate Russia, but we need to destroy Russia. It's not a want, it's now a need. We must do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to force our populations into complete and utter hysteria. We're going to scare the pants out of them. We're going to continually tell them that you are going to attack all of us. We are continuously going to say that unless we do something about it, you are going to come through the fence and you're going to kill them in their beds. And on top of that, they are saying it so vehemently and so violently that they are actually putting a time frame on it. So now, your neighbour and his gang that he has managed to cobble together of the We Hate Russia Club are now saying, we're going to continue doing what we've been doing, throwing rocks at you every time you go in the garden, and bigger rocks and metal spikes and anything we can find that may actually harm you seriously. We're taking your money out of the bank and we're having it. You're not getting it back. We've all got together and we're all united in this. What's he doing, idiot? And now what we're going to do is we're going to prepare to come and kill you. And we're not just talking this time. No, we're actually starting to get weapons. Rather than rocks and stones and spikes, we're going to arm ourselves with proper weapons. We're going to get guns. And when we've got all of our guns together, and when we've got all of our other neighbours and their friends together, we're going to come and destroy you. We're going to erase you, because we don't want you in our neighbourhood, even though you've got the biggest house, even though you've got the best garden and the most vegetables. We don't want it. We don't want anything to do with you, even though you said you're going to give us your vegetables cheaper than anyone else, even though you've got water. We call it water, but let's say oil and gas. We call it water though. Even though you've got water and you're going to give that to us cheaper than anyone else, even though you've made several attempts to be friendly, we don't want you. We hate you. So we're now saying by 2030, we will be in full armed conflict with you, with our newly acquired guns, and we're going to kill you. We're going to kill you, we're going to kill your family, we're going to kill your friends, and anything to do with you. Now, if you were living on an industrial estate, on a housing estate like that, what are you doing? It's having zoomies, ain't? What are you doing, Rios? If you were living on a housing estate and that was the situation, you may move. You may think, do you know what? I'm not a violent person. And when this all started, I'm just going to move, just to get away from these absolute lunatics. But what if you're in a world where you can't move? What if your bit of land is the only bit of land that you have and you can't move anywhere else? Excuse me. And you can't pick the land up and take it with you. So you haven't got that option to move. So you're there, surrounded by people that are actively attacking you, all the while telling their friends and family that you're attacking them, which you're not. You haven't thrown a single stone at them. You haven't thrown a stone over your neighbour's fence, not one. So they're telling all of their friends and neighbours that you're attacking them all the time, constantly, with drone attacks and by sea and all sorts of other nonsense, which is all lies, but that's what they're telling their friends, so that their friends now hate you as well. Friends being citizens of countries. And you're there, this rhetoric is going on, so all of your neighbours hate you, all of your neighbours have ganged up on you. They've all decided that they're going to destroy you. They've already gone to the bank and they've taken your money. They've already injured and killed a lot of your family. And all you want to do is live in peace. You can't move. So what do? Well, it's the age-old question. Because I've just described the typical bully boy scenario that has got way out of control, isn't it? If you reduce it down from that and go back to the schoolyard, it's kind of how bullies work, isn't it? They get a little gang of scroats, as we call them in the UK, and then they pick on someone. And they pick on them and pick on them and pick on them. And do you remember your mum and dad, or your dad mainly, telling you how to deal with a bully? Only one way, smack him in the mouth, son. It's always the story, but not everybody can do that. Not everybody's wired that way. But if you've got no choice, if you have no option, you can't move, every time you go outside, you're getting stuff thrown at you. They are telling you they're going to kill you. They've told you a date at which they're going to kill you by, if not sooner. And they are getting all of their friends and their neighbours to get armed, ready to come and do it. What do? Well, I don't think you do anything other than one thing, and that's smack the bully straight in the mouth, and usually several times. And here is the question, because that's what's going to happen. People of Europe, understand. Please understand. That's what's going to happen, because that's exactly what is going on. NATO is telling you, NATO countries, Ursula von der Leyen, the most powerful person in Europe, who's never been elected by a single person. Would you put a tick in a ballot box for her? Would you? You need your head looking at if you say yes. So they're telling you that you're going to sacrifice your family if you don't go and attack this house, these people. So what do you think those people are going to do? As I'm just repeating myself because I got lost in my train of thought watching the idiot as usual. They're gonna retaliate, aren't they? Because they've got no choice. They're backed into a corner. You know, they're constantly bullied and picked on. And the only question now really is how big the retaliation will be. Now, let's just zoom out a little bit and away from the rhetoric. Lovely weather. I'm out in a t-shirt again. Yippee! Summer's back. It's not though, is it? Let's just zoom out a bit and away from the rhetoric. I think I'm going senile. I keep losing my memory. Dear, dear. What is going to happen? Well, if you are the oppressed person, if you are the person in the house with all the neighbours telling you they're going to attack you, giving you a timeline, and they have been attacking you for a long time, and they're just getting more and more aggressive, not necessarily getting more and more successful. We'd have to argue that they're getting certainly much less successful, but their mouths are writing checks they can't cash. But if they're getting more and more aggressive, more and more successful, and you have an opportunity to punch the bully straight in the face so hard that he never, ever, ever opens his mouth again, that he literally disappears from the neighbourhood, he's no longer there anymore, and all of his friends and all of the other neighbours go, oh, holy shit, we didn't see that coming. If you have that opportunity, or you have the opportunity to carry on trying to defend your piece of land, what would you do? Knowing that if you punch this bully properly hard in the face, that is going to be the end of all of the nonsense that you have endured for years, of all of the lies, of all of the attacks, and all of the constant name calling. If you punch this bully, that's all going to stop, because everybody else is going to go, holy shit, we didn't think they were serious. That's where we are, people of Europe. That is where we are. We have the European Union and NATO constantly attacking Russia. Russia hasn't attacked NATO. You must understand that. Russia has not attacked NATO anywhere. You've had lots of stories, none of which have been proven in any way, shape or form. There's been no evidence for any of them. But you've had the stories of drones, drones attacking and this, that and the other. The only thing that's been attacked is Russia and Russia's property. So if you were Russia and you've got all of these people, not just one neighbour, but all of them, now all in a I hate Russia gang, and all wanting to destroy you, and all telling you that they're going to destroy you, and now they've taken your money, and they've told you that they're going to destroy you and when they're going to destroy you, and you have the ability to smack the bully, the big one, straight in the mouth and end him, so him no get up anymore, him done. You know full well that if you do that, let's face it, we've all seen this situation, all been in it. You know that if you take out the bully, you've seen many films, haven't you? Yeah. The others shrink away and just go, whoa, because they're all hyped up in the rubbish. They all believe the nonsense that they're big and they're tough and they're strong. But then when the bully gets absolutely flattened, everybody goes, oh, shit. Yeah, we're not quite as committed to this as we thought we were. Yeah, no. Now, obviously Russia understands that as well. So if you were in Russia's position right now, in the Russian government, and you've been enduring this for years, decades, these attacks, many of your people killed, your money now stolen, which is an act of war, what do? Do you either sit on your laurels and just wait and hope that it all blows over, and hope that, they'll come to their senses and they'll stop attacking you and they'll leave you alone and just let you live in peace? Or do you get to a point where you go, well, we've been telling them and they ain't listening, so now we've got to do? Because that's the situation. Russia has been telling the West to leave it alone. Russia has been saying no to NATO expansion. We do not want hostile neighbours on our border. We do not want nuclear missiles aimed at Moscow. Perfectly reasonable. The US wasn't too happy about Cuba, was it? It's not unreasonable. It is not unreasonable. Go back to basic level. If you get a neighbour next to you and he starts buying catapults and wanting to throw rocks in your garden, you're not going to be happy about that. And if another neighbour wants to move in, you're going to say, nah, I'm not having that. You're not allowed any catapults. It's perfectly reasonable, isn't it? So that's where we are. Russia has had I don't know. The patience of a saint is not really, I don't think that covers it. It really don't. But Russia has endured this for decades. These threats, these attacks. And they've been saying to NATO, enough. NATO don't listen. Because they're crazed lunatics. They are, for whatever reason. It's probably revolving around the new financial system. Basically, the way to usher in an unpopular new financial system is under the guise of war, when everybody's distracted and everybody's going through hardship. When you tell them that their pound isn't going to be worth a pound anymore because X, Y, and Z, and we're going to move over to this new system of pebbles, people won't really complain that much. So what they've done is they've tried, I'm going off on a tangent, but bear with me. They've tried to implement the digital currency, hoping that people would just go, yeah, okay, that sounds like a better idea. They've shown the benefits, but they haven't, to be honest, done a very good job of that. And they've let the fear-mongering about the digital currency run rife. So consequently, where they were hoping that it would be an easy transition and they could run one alongside the other, they haven't managed it very well. Surprise, surprise. And consequently, most people are not interested in digital currency. They don't want it. They're anti it. So now what do? Because they've got to do it. They have to do it. It's going to happen. So what do? Well, if they can't get it in nicely, they force it in. Straight in, no kissing. How do they force it in? As I said, under the guise of war. So, you are now in a simulation. You are now being told that Russia is going to attack us, Britain and all the European countries, and that we must prepare for war. You must prepare to lose your sons and your daughters. They must be prepared to go to war with Russia. And, there's no choice. You've got this big, almighty, powerful person, Ursula von der Leyen, and, you have no choice. Just like the Russian frozen assets. You have two choices, EU. These are the two choices you can vote on. We can either take Russia's assets and give it to Ukraine, or we can make up some Euro bonds backed by Russia's assets and give that to Ukraine. But either way, they're your choices. Pick one. There's not a third option, which is, neither. Not allowed that one. You only get the two. Well, you're only going to get one when it comes to going to war with Russia, and they're already beating the drum, all of them. This is what they're going to do. So, getting back to my, you are the Russian government. You're sat there looking at all of this every day from all countries, bearing in mind not just one, so not like a lot of you guys where you're in one country hearing one side of the media. Russia is here seeing the media and the government talk from all the countries that are threatening it. And it's sitting there going, well, we keep trying to explain to them. We keep saying, look, we're open for negotiations. We're ready to talk. We're always at the negotiating table. But here's the starting point. And our starting point is that neither of our neighbours are allowed to have catapults. And they're not allowed to have big rocks. They can have little rocks, but they're not allowed to have big rocks. And they're not allowed to have guns. And they're not allowed to have catapults. That's our starting point. That's not negotiable. It's not that. That's an absolute minimum. Also, they are no longer allowed to be, or wanting to be, in this We Hate Russia club. Not allowed to do that. We will not accept that. So, that's our starting point. It isn't negotiable down from there. That's the point at which we start from. And you ain't listening. You just keep thinking that it's negotiable because, that's your mentality in the West. Not you who are watching this, but Western leaders. So your mentality is, we can negotiate from this. No, you can't. Those are minimum requirements. They are not negotiable. It's an upwards from that. And the West ain't listening. So what does Russia do? What do you do if you are the Russian government? You're being attacked. You have been for years. The attacks are getting stronger. The threats are getting stronger. There's now a time frame. You're now told when they are going to come and kill you. And they've taken your money. Well, as I keep saying, and as the title of this video is, how big is the smack in the mouth? So, unfortunately, from a strategic point of view, what would be Russia's best move? Their best move is to take out the ringleader, the big bully. Not necessarily the biggest guy in the gang, but the one with the mouth, the one with the control. You deal with him, and the others go quietly, don't they? Because they look and see what happened to him and think, no thanks. Don't really fancy having all my teeth knocked out. Don't really want to be eating dinner through a spoon, or through a straw rather. Don't want that. So that's, that's the result you've got to achieve. So who gets it out of the gang of thugs that are attacking you? Which one do you single out? Now, you single out, like I say, the ringleader, don't you? The one with all the mouth. But you also pick on the one that is the best target to ensure no other damage, because you want to send a signal. You want to deal with the bully, but you want to do it in a way that sends a signal to everybody else in the gang, so there is no misunderstanding anymore. There's been enough misunderstanding. You guys haven't listened. So you want to send a signal. There is no ambiguity. This is what we're telling you. He is going to go pester her. Look at him. Mankey, leave her alone. Leave her alone. Wait. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Leave her alone. Built like a tank. And the simple answer is, if you're the Russian government and you're getting all of that rhetoric, you're going to get to a point where logic would dictate, anyway, where you decide that the only course of action that you have got, because it's just getting worse and worse, is to either go to war with every country or to first strike one and just go, right, we are serious, we have told you, now that's where it is. If you want to go to war now, then everybody goes. The whole world ends. You have to remember Russia has the largest nuclear arsenal in the world, plus the latest weapons, if you want to discuss them. Jesus. So if I'm sat there as a Russian government official, and we get to that point where we are now discussing a first strike option, because we need to deal with this bully of this gang, and we're going to single this one out, and we're going to single this one out because it's going to have the least effect on all of the others physically, because we're just going to isolate him and deal with him, but mentally it's going to have the biggest effect. So which country do you think that is? Think about it. It's England. It's my country. That's the first country. That's not the last. So if Russia is pushed much more to a point of no return, the first country that goes is England. Because once again, Russia will probably exercise restraint. They will probably say to America, enough's enough, you lot ain't listening. So this is what we're going to do, US. We're going to make England disappear, because none of you lot are listening. No matter what we say and for how long we say it, you insist on trying to kill us. Enough's enough. So England is going to disappear. We're telling you, because you have a choice. You being 7,000 miles away, you can either sit there and go, holy shit, they were serious, and you can start to actually talk sensibly to us and we can live in peace, or you can decide to be involved. Now, at the moment, we're just going to launch one missile, and you'll see that one missile getting launched. If you open your silo doors, if anybody in Europe opens their silo doors, everything goes. Our arsenal goes, the whole lot. everything goes and everybody dies. But that's what we're going to do. This isn't a discussion. We're not asking your permission. We're telling you this is what's going to happen now, because we need to make it perfectly clear that we are serious. We've been telling you diplomatically, but you don't understand. You can't understand the diplomacy. So now we've picked a target and we've selected England. England, one, because it is the biggest mouth and it's the one that's causing a lot of trouble. Two, it's the one that is sending special forces in and has also now come out with its intelligence agent, Blaze, whatever her name is, has now said that they are going to basically start a SAS-style campaign. It's pretty much what she said. So we've selected England because it's an island, and we can launch one missile, Sarmat or Poseidon, and we can disappear England. It goes into the sea. It is no more. It just becomes a rock. Now, because it's an island, that really isn't going to have any effect on anybody else physically too much. You might get a dodgy cloud float over, but apart from that, you know, and if there is a bit of collateral damage on France, where is anyone really going to care? But that's happening. That's going to go. And we've selected England, like I say, because it isolates everybody else. So what do you think America, Germany, France, all the others, Portugal, Spain, I don't know, everybody, all of these lunatics, apart from Hungary, apart from Slovakia, apart from a few others that are now waking up, what do you think they're going to do? Not when they hear that story, because it doesn't make any sense to them, they just think it's Russian nonsense, but when England disappears, when it literally disappears, when it's just gone, 65 million people gone, done. Do you think they are going to say, England, poor England, we must fight for our friend now, we must launch our 1 or 2 missiles to fight for our friend? Or do you think they are all going to sit back in their chair and go, whoa, stuff that? Yeah, no, hands up. We're not, nobody touch anything. Nobody touch a button. We do not want Russia to see that we are doing anything. We've got our hands up, waving the white flag. We've stopped. Would another country make a better target? I don't know. Have a think about it. What makes more sense? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe another country would make a better target. But as England is the only island, I don't think so. So this is where we are headed. And I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm usually the one that sits there and goes, nah, it's not going to happen. This is why, and this is why. I can't say that anymore, because it's become apparent, and it's quite clear now, that Europeans have not got this part of their brain that tells them this reality. They just refuse to accept that that could be a reality, because in their head, Russia is weak. That's what they believe. And that's the narrative that they pump out to you guys. That's what they tell you. That Ukraine is winning the war, Russia is losing the war, Russia has been fought to a standstill, Russia this, Russia that. It's all lies. It's all a pack of lies. But that's what they're telling you. And they've told it to you so much that they believe it themselves. And maybe it's a case that the intelligence that they've been given makes them believe that. You know, maybe it isn't that they're just evil monsters. Maybe it is that they're just misinformed, lazy-ass bureaucrats. But either way, if they continue on this path, people of England, my country, my family, goes. Gone. So, what can you do? Well, that's the first thing, isn't it? Well, you straight away turn around and say, well, nothing I can do. You know, I'm just trying to pay my bills and keep my head above. You don't need to worry about paying your bills and keeping your head above water. You don't need to worry about putting food on the table if you're not there, if you're gone. And some of you might think, well, if it happens, it happens, nothing I can do about it. Brilliant. What a lovely attitude. Or you could, like your MP, you could voice your opposition. You could tell them that you don't want to go to war with Russia and that you're not going to support it. Because going to war with Russia means that you and your family all die. That's the reality. Because Russia can't attack England by marching through Germany, France, Belgium and everywhere else, because obviously you've got to attack them first. So that's not going to happen. So all of this threat that Russia's going to attack England is bullshit. If Russia launches a missile at England, it's one and it's the only one. And it's the only one that matters. And that's England gone. So unless people start making some noise and start saying to their MPs and start having conversations with their friends and saying, you know, this is getting ridiculous. They keep threatening Russia. They've been attacking Russia and now they've taken Russia's money. And now they're saying that by 2030, another 4 years, they're going to kill Russia. 3 years, we're nearly in 26, aren't we? 4 years, sorry. Unless we tell them no, they're going to keep saying that until they leave Russia no choice once again. Because that's what happened in Ukraine in 2022. They left Russia with no choice. Because Russia had been saying since 2014, don't do this. They left Russia with no choice. That's why Russia went into Ukraine. Because the scenario that I've outlined over the last half an hour about the neighbour and getting rocks and catapults and getting bigger and bigger was the reality. That's exactly what was happening in Ukraine. And Russia eventually has gone, enough is enough is enough. You're leaving us no other choice. It's clear that you are now stepping up aggression against us, which they were. It's clear that you intend to invade the Donbass, wipe out the Russian speakers there, and then push into Russia. So we're going to have to hit you first, which is exactly why the West is so pissed. Because the Russian government saw that unless they took action when they did, it was going to be a defensive strategy, having to defend and attack. So they preempted. That's Article 51. Go and look at it. That's where we are again. We are in the final minutes of having no other choice. So if you're Russia, and unlike 2022, where nobody was admitting being part of it, it was just Ukraine, bear in mind that nobody was admitting that they were supporting Ukraine. None of them was banging their drum saying, we're going to kill Russia and we're going to attack Russia. They were all saying, oh, no, we're not party to this war, all of them. So back in 2022, when they're all saying that, and it's just Ukraine attacking Russia, well, now it isn't just Ukraine or just one country saying they're going to attack Russia. It's all of them. So Russia is now being pushed into a corner far, far harsher than the one it was pushed to in 2022. That's the reality. That's where it is. Now, the problem we have is the people that are saying this are saying it in a very diplomatic way, and they're saying it with a lot of jargon, and most average people haven't got the time or the inclination to work it out. What are you doing in that case? I know what you're doing. I'll get you. I'll get you. What about over here? He likes it here, look. He comes. I can get you. So gentle, doesn't put his claws out at all. Do you, boy? Good boy. So that's the reality. That's where we are, guys. It's deeply depressing. This is a situation that I absorb myself in every single day for hours. I see the rhetoric, I see the events, I see the threats, I see the actions every single day, because I've made it my business to do that, because I have the luxury of time, and I can either sit on my arse and turn into a couch potato, or I can sit on my arse, turn into a couch potato, but be a bit educated. I've chosen that route. So this is where we are. This is the reality. And unless people start having conversations with their friends and family and discussing this and digging out the research, doing a little bit of homework. So all you need is a little bit of homework to start realising what's going on. But all the time you turn away blindly, this is getting worse. And when it gets worse, I believe that the most sensible thing, the most realistic thing for Russia would be to take out England. And please understand, England's my country. It's where my family live. The thought absolutely terrifies me. Genuinely terrifies me. And that's probably why I'm doing this live. It's why my channel exists. It's not a propaganda channel. I don't beat the drum of the Russian government. I just show you that. Blue skies, dog barking, cats, swimming pool. Life in Russia, you know. That's what I try and show you. Because you're led to believe that it's snow, bears, gangsters, vodka, horse and cart. It's a backwards country. It's not capable of anything. You're led to believe it's just a bunch of evil monsters, and it's not. Go and look at my videos on my channel. Russians aren't the evil monsters that Ursula von der Leyen and her evil bunch portray them out to be. That's all narrative. That's all lies. They're good people. Really good people. And they're very generous people, and they're very trusting people. But they're very strong people. Very, very strong people. You have not understood hardship unless you are a Russian. Because these people know what war is. And they don't waste words like we do in the West. They're not fake, and this is why we're in this position, because the West believes everybody is the same as them. Talk, 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 fret, 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 mouth, 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 and then run away. Like Trump says this today, and then tomorrow morning he says the opposite. Russians don't do that. They tell you straight. They don't fanny about. Don't give a load of bullshit. They just tell you, you need to stop doing that. You're an idiot. And that's what they've been doing. That's what they keep doing. But how long for? Well, like I say, in 2022, after it started in 2014, 8 years they did it, and they put up with it. But that was, as I say, because one country was saying, and everybody else was saying, oh, we're nothing to do with this, pretty much. Or we might give them some humanitarian aid, but we know we're not party to it. We're not party to it. Now they're all fully admitting they're not only party to it, but they're all behind it. So we're in a different situation. We're 4 years in. It's scary times, people. And unless people sit up and do something and start having conversations, start writing to their MPs, start having conversations with their friends, unless they do that, these monsters like Ursula von der Leyen are just going to continue on the path that they're on. Because I think in their head they believe that Russia is weak, and in their head they believe because Russia has shown restraint, they see that as weakness. They've mistaken kindness for weakness, and they've convinced themselves that Russia can be defeated. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. Russia's nuclear doctrine changed. Where it said it wouldn't first strike, that's different now. Russia's nuclear doctrine, if it believes that it is going to be under threat of non-existence, if it believes that it's going to sustain a significant attack, it now can launch nuclear weapons. That's been the case for a long time now, but it's not talked about. So where Russia would wait for a nuclear weapon to be launched at it, it now doesn't. So if it gets to a point where it believes the only option it has is a nuclear first strike, well, as I said earlier, you pick a target. If you were Russia, which target would you pick? Bearing in mind that you don't want to. You still want to give everyone a chance. You still want to give peace a chance. You still want to give people a chance. So where do you send your missile? You want to send one so that the world wakes up. And you want to tell the people that you're going to do it so that everybody wakes up. So where do you send it? Maybe you don't agree with me. Maybe you don't think it's England. But I think from a strategic perspective, it's the obvious target. Anyhow, let's say hello. I've been on a rant. Kusman, hi. Yeah, wondering where the apricots are. Yeah, the other one had them off. Bonjour. I love cats. Yeah, we got a few of them. Look, these two are always playing together. Dougie's very sorry. Harsh. Are pro-Russia live streams the new fad? No idea, mate. Not part of that. Pro-truth. Sorry, you know, you're unfortunately so narrow-minded that you follow the narrative and say anything that I don't like, anything that goes against what the government and the BBC say must be pro-Russian propaganda, must be a Putin puppet. You're part of that narrative, and I'm sorry for you. I do. I genuinely feel sorry for you. I feel sorry that you haven't got the intelligence to educate yourself, go and do a bit of basic research, and that all you are is an unpaid bitch. You just repeat what's coming out in the papers or on the telly box, because you haven't got a thought process. You haven't got the intelligence to go and actually do some research. It's a shame, mate. Never mind. We have fights here. Good. Only for guns. Yeah, well. Yeah, good luck with that, mate. Are we really going to skirt right by that and be like, Russia isn't so bad? Well, Mechanic Bergman, BMX retard. Yeah, because I've seen both sides. When was the last time you were in Russia? Good, bad everywhere. Yes, Dougie, but not everyone's got tarmac. You must just want to sell. Oh, okay. Russia is great. Yeah, got problems with chat. Yes, Cruiseman, you're right there. Opinionated statement. Yeah, thing with an opinionated statement, most opinions are usually formed from a bit of fact. Great stream. Thanks, mate. You and I had some sensible discussions, Mr. Plastic. I see we're in the West and are fear-mongering, but Putin deploying a strategic stronghold is an escalation, no? I'll ask again, what do you think Russia should do? Well, what would you do? If you were the Russian government, what would you do? When you've got NATO, Ursula von der Leyen, the EU, all saying that they are going to strategically defeat Russia. Not that they want peace. They say that they want peace, but the way they want peace is to strategically defeat Russia. That's what they are saying. There is no negotiations at the negotiating table because they will not negotiate. They do not want to negotiate. They tell you they do, but their negotiation is Russian surrender. That's their idea of negotiation. So what would you do? As Putin said, if the fight is inevitable, strike first. Exactly that. And unfortunately, people in the West don't get it. They just think it's bluff because that's what they're told. They're told that Russia's weak and they believe it. They're told that Russia's a third-rate country and they believe it. Because they haven't got the sense to go and check out the information. They just believe it. They believe what they're told. And as I hopefully have pointed out, when it gets to a point where Russia has no other choice, it takes action. It had no other choice since 2014, and it took action in 2022. It now is getting to a point where it is not going to have any choice. It will have no choice once again. So what action do you think it will take? When it's pushed to a corner where it has no choice, what action will Russia take? Just ask yourself that question. Given the action that it started in 2022, what's it going to do? When it's now being told, instead of by one country, it's now being told by NATO that it's going to be attacked, it's going to be destroyed. What's the inevitability? Yes, mechanic, this is the exact point I'm trying to make. But I tell you one thing, 100% certain. England will not escape scot-free out of this. And no military force or anything's going to make any fucking difference, mate. Because people don't comprehend the kind of weaponry we're talking about now. The Sarmat missile is, I think, 14 warheads in one missile. And the power of those warheads is sufficient for one missile to destroy the UK. All of it, gone. One missile. One missile. People can't comprehend it because you see the TV and you see a missile land and some stuff blows up and a house blows up and a building blows up. That's what you think a missile is. Everybody forgets Hiroshima and Hiroshima. That is a fucking gnat bite compared to what is available now. And as I say, if Russia is pushed to a point where it has no, or it feels, that's the important thing as well, that it feels that that's the case. I mean, what kind of lunacy is it? Why would you treat somebody like that? So Russia gets to a point where it feels it has no choice other than to first strike. So where's the first missile going? Tell me, am I wrong? Is it going to be the United States? Of course it isn't. No, the first phone call will be to the United States. Hey, Mr. US President, whoever you are. Because let's face it, we don't really know, do we? This is what we're doing. As I said, one missile, Britain's gone. Nobody's listening. We keep telling you. So now we're going to show you. We're going to show you we're serious because you're not accepting what we're telling you. So it's going to be one missile. You'll see one missile launch. You've got a choice at that point. You can either watch it and go, oh shit, which is exactly what the US will do. Exactly what the US will do. Or you can sit there and go, oh, we must defend our friends, the British. We must come to their rescue. Bearing in mind that Britain has been horrifically horrible to Donald Trump, actively campaigned against him. So do you think Trump has got any loyalty to Britain? Ask yourself that. No, of course he hasn't. So do you think he's going to come running to Britain's defence? Do you think France is, the surrender monkeys? Do you think they're going to go, oh, our poor friends in Britain, roast beefs. Oh, they have been completely destroyed. Oh, we must avenge them. Or do you think they're going to go, ooh, oh well, no more Channel Tunnel. Yeah, just think about it. They're all going to go, holy shit. And then Russia is going to say, we've warned you and warned you and warned you. Now we've punched you in the face. Now listen to us. This is what we want. We don't want NATO on our doorstep. We do not want to be threatened constantly. We do not want to be attacked. We want to be left alone. It's clear to us that we cannot work with you Europeans. And it's clear to us that you don't want to work with us. That's fine. We are now heading in the opposite direction. We are now dealing with the rest of the world. So leave us alone. We've told you, and now we've shown you. Now leave us alone. If you don't, you're all gone. Because a world without Russia is not a world worth living in. Vladimir Putin's own words. So yes, if he presses that button, we all die. You, me, everyone. Absolutely, I fully understand that. There's been drone strikes in Poland. Yeah, according to the press, All proved to be a load of lies. Even the Poles themselves have come out and said, yeah, no, it wasn't actually true. Don't see many drones land on top of a chicken coop intact, fully intact, and just land there next to some trees. Wake up, mate. Do you actually believe that? Well, you do, don't you? Because you're typing it in here. Explosions don't just happen. Oh, okay, mate. Let's get rid of you because you're too far gone. And I can't be doing with people that are too far gone. There's no helping them if they're going to ask questions, fine, but if they're just going to talk Western narrative nonsense, that's for Dania. Push the button. Oh, yeah. Lovely place. Thank you. Quite like it. If NATO had assets fly through Russian airspace, it wouldn't be as well received. Well, what assets have flown through NATO airspace? Interesting. What assets? You do know Ukraine's not in NATO, don't you? NATO doesn't expand. Really? It literally has joining requirements, has rejected applications in the past. Countries request to join NATO, not the other way around. Yeah, toxic hazard. I mean, that's yeah. I guess that's because countries request to join NATO, that's not expansion. So NATO doesn't expand by definition then. Don't understand the logic there, other than you say because countries voluntarily, bullshit, agree to join NATO, they're not coerced, they're not bribed, they're not forced at all. They just wake up in the morning and go, we think we would be better off joining NATO. Or do you think it's some politicians in those countries that are bribed and coerced and corrupted, that it's better for them to join NATO? What do you reckon? Do you think the people of these countries go, yeah, we want to join NATO, we want to be part of that? Maybe you're right. I think they are lied to. I think they're coerced. I think they're bribed. I think they're corrupted. I think the governments of these countries disseminate it down to the media, and the media pumps it out of the TV and shapes the narrative. Oh, we must join NATO to protect ourselves from the Russian threat. What Russian threat? When what Russian threat? When has Russia made any threats to any country in the EU or in NATO? So what Russian threat? Oh, Mr. Plastic, are you okay? You usually have both sides of the coin view, but now you look like a Russian paid shield. Oh, well, can't help that. If that's your view, feel free to leave. I have both sides of the coin because I have the ability to see both sides of the coin, and I'm telling you the cold hard truth of the current situation. And it is from both sides of the coin. NATO, Ursula von der Leyen, I've told you the facts, I've told you what they've done, I've told you what they are doing, I've told you what they're saying. So that's one side of the coin. And I've told you the potential Russian reaction. That's the other side of the coin. So I'm not quite sure what you mean there, but morning. Tommy Robinson MBE, no thanks. No, thank you. I have no support for anyone that goes and kisses the Wailing Wall. I have no support for that person at all. So please don't tar me with that brush. That man is bad. He is rotten to the core. And unfortunately, some people think he's the new Messiah. And he's not. I look at the whole picture, I understand we're in the West of poking, but Putin hasn't got clean hands here. Okay. Do you know what? Let's just take your statement. I understand we're in the West of poking, but Putin hasn't got clean hands here. So when a nuclear missile gets launched at the UK and the UK disappears and everybody dies, does that matter? Is it going to matter that you can say, well, Putin ain't got clean hands? Wake up, mate. People need to start saying, people need to start opening their mouths, having conversations. Start a YouTube channel, start doing some research. Have a conversation with your friends. Because if you don't, you're just a bitch. You're just going to sit there and do nothing. And you're going to take up the arse whatever is given to you. And you're going to say, yes, please. Cushman, sorry, mate. I know what you're saying, so I'm not reading out your comments. Don't think I'm ignoring you. You just dodged the question twice. Well, I didn't see the question because I was speaking and not reading. Now I'm reading. Hi, sailor. What are you talking about? Go back to the beginning, you'll see. You're insane. Really? Yeah, okay. No. See, that's the trouble. It's the narrative that's been spun. So anybody that says anything like I just have is a paid propagandist. It's a Putin puppet. He's insane. He's a nutcase. That's what you've all been led to believe. And you're too stupid to see it. Shouty bloke. Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. A little depressed, watching the constant stream of absolute insanity pouring out of the West and the EU. It's at a different level now, isn't it? And they don't see it. They don't understand that it's getting ramped up. The Baltic states wouldn't be first, mate. Paul Finlay music. No, they wouldn't. They absolutely wouldn't. What tactical benefit is it? Strategically. What benefit? Yeah, I mean, what, 1 million people in Latvia? But so what? What's Latvia ever going to do to Russia? I'll tell you. Zip. Yapping chihuahua. That's it. Don't want to be disrespectful to Latvia, but shut up. They do nothing. Or Estonia, or Lithuania. Yap, 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 yap. They can do nothing. They are the typical little bloke syndrome. You know, we all know a little bloke with a bad attitude, don't we? Got a chip on his shoulder. We all know one. That's what they are. They've got nothing. They've got no substance. They've got nothing behind them. Other than hopefully when they're down the pub and they're buying everybody a round of drinks, that they got a few mates stood behind them. So they go, yap, 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 yap. But the reality is, if you see them out the next day on their own, they will do nothing. And if you smack them in the mouth, it doesn't have any effect on anyone because nobody cares. So no, the Baltic states will not be first. There's no need. That has no effect. Nobody would take any notice if Russia launched a weapon at any of the Baltic states. In fact, that would be a sign of weakness. NATO would see that as weakness. They would say, oh, Russia was too scared to attack one of us big boys. So they took out poor little Latvia, or poor Lithuania, or poor Estonia. Oh my God, look how terrible they are. Oh. That's how they would view that. They wouldn't sit up and take notice. They wouldn't go, oh shit. They would just go, oh, look at what they've done. If you want to deal with a bully in his gang, you punch the bully. You don't pick on the weakest one of the gang. Because he's the weakest one on the gang and everybody knows he's the weakest one on the gang. And if you pick on him, nobody cares. So no, you're completely wrong there, I'm afraid. When? Yeah. A $64 million question. We are already 4 years in to this persistence, but it is only, the last 18 months, maybe a year, that the European countries, European leaders have openly come out and said, yes, we are at war with Russia, we are fighting Russia in Ukraine, we are sending forces. You've got to remember what they are saying. They're saying they're going to send forces into Ukraine. Going back to the scenario I said earlier, where your neighbour is throwing rocks over the wall, and he says that he's going to get his mates round. At what point do you say enough's enough? So the when really is, I don't know, but we are a lot closer to it today than we were yesterday. And yesterday we're a lot closer to it than we were the day before. And at some point, It's going to be 2 minutes to midnight. At some point, Russia is going to feel that it has no other option, because Russia doesn't talk shit. It doesn't bluff, doesn't bullshit. It just keeps saying, stop. You must stop. These are our terms. It has said that from the beginning. From the beginning, Russia said, we will pull out of Ukraine all of our forces. We will speak to you and negotiate about Crimea. That was the first offer. Boris Johnson stopped that. Since then, as any winning side does, as they progress and go forward, their demands get met strategically on the battlefield. So it's no longer a demand anymore. It's a point of given. No point talking about Crimea anymore. That's ancient history. That's done. There's no point in talking about Bakhmut anymore. That's done. There's no point in talking about Avdiivka anymore. That's done. Pretty soon there's no point in talking about Pokrovsk, because that's done. Pretty soon there's no point in talking about Kupiansk, because that's done. The further forward Russia goes, the more stuff is going to get added. Why the channel calls Plastic Russian? Are you Russian? No, I'm an Englishman. If you go to the channel homepage, you'll see an explanation of the Plastic Russian name. Hopefully that'll tell you. The thing about nukes is nobody survives. Well, as I said, I've given you a scenario where they do. Because I believe that if Russia is pushed to a point where it feels it has no other choice, it has tried everything to be diplomatic, and that's just constantly, all our sustaining is a barrage of threats. And if they get to a point where they believe that these crazed lunatics are actually going to attack Russia, then they will strike first. And the scenario I gave, where they launch one missile after giving notice at the UK, is nobody in the UK survives, but everybody in Europe does, everybody in America does, everybody in the rest of the world does. So all of Russia's allies survive. Because as I said, if Russia launched against Britain, they would have made the phone calls first. They would have told everybody what's going on. And they will not be talked out of it. And it will just be done. And then Britain goes. And that thought really should terrify you. And if it doesn't, if you're sitting there laughing, thinking it's all clown stuff, then you're probably like the Ukrainians and the rest of them were in 2022. Ha ha, Russia's weak, they won't do anything. Ha ha ha. Yeah, look where that got you. Guy's an armchair expert. Yeah, I guess. Probably take that as a compliment, mate. I have the luxury of time. I'm retired. I have nothing better to do all day other than spend 3 or 4 hours every day looking at this stuff. Not just this, but global finance, all around the world. Conflicts in Venezuela about to happen. All of this stuff. But today I'm talking about this. But thanks. Appreciate it was an intended insult, but kind of backfired. Like your English, thank you. Russia tech OLED. No idea. Russian ain't attacking the UK with Article 5. Really? Paul Finley, you're delusional, mate, I'm afraid. You've been sucking on the NATO is great nipple for a bit too long. So, UK military, 70,000, max, 70,000. Tanks, I don't know, nearly in single figures now with tanks, aren't they? Did have 40, but they sent a load to Ukraine. So probably down to nearly single figures that actually work and are deployable. I think last count Russia is about 3,500 tanks. So good luck with that. Then nukes. Well, let's not get the nukes. Let's just talk conventional stuff. Go and do some research, mate. And then look at France. Germany. And look at them all. And if you think that Article 5 is going to be employed if Russia nuked Britain, you're off your head. If you think France is going to come running to avenge Britain, you are mental. Do you think the French would come and avenge you? Do you? Do you really? You think the Germans would? I'd argue that given Germans' history, they'd actually go, oh, finally we have the job done. So yeah, don't believe in your Article 5's Mr. Paul Finlay music. What is this about? You're talking shit. Yeah, and you're a scared bitch. And as usual, people like you just come on, type shit. Not from any basis, not from any knowledge. You haven't spent hours and hours, of days and years researching this stuff. You just pick up the Sun or the Telegraph and go, yeah, that must be true. I'm going to bash it into the keyboard. So, yeah, Northern Ireland here. Andrew Tate, good lad. Paid Russian shill. Yeah, okay, mate. Well, that's you gone then. No point in you being here. If that's your view, what's the point in you being here? Zzz. Sound UK shit anyway. Yeah, but my family's there, mate. Muppet. Yes, you probably are, mate. Did you hear all of that from Rios? Yeah, definitely. UK has lasers. Yeah, but laser hair removal ain't going to save you. They will sit back. Yeah, dos vidania. Chris, what's gone on? I usually love your streams because you're pretty balanced. This is insane. UK has nuclear submarine. Oh, mate. If the entire mainland is a crater, UK nukes can still retaliate. And... Oi! Oi! Pack it in, you two. Stop it. Stop it. Leave her alone. Luna? Scoot. Leave her alone. Come on. Picking on Ripple. Dear. Yeah. So Russia's air defence, best in the world. Sarmat missile, hypersonic. How much time do you reckon they have? Calculated the time? How long do you reckon it takes for a Sarmat to hit the UK? Yeah. Stop walking around, you'll make me dizzy. I can't help it, I walk and talk. You should stop reading news. I don't. It's not good for you. I don't read news. Because mainstream media is just all bullshit, and that's why people like you, Sailor, I think, make the comments you do. Because you watch mainstream media. I don't watch mainstream media. Because it's propaganda. Whichever country you're in. Doesn't matter. That includes Russia. Russia will pump out on its mainstream media Russian-biased, Russian-based news. Same as England, same as France, blah, blah, blah. Difference is, all of Europe is pumping out the same narrative. And most Europeans are believing it. And you've now got this latest round of nonsense with Ursula von der Leyen and what she's trying to achieve. And nobody's talking about the impact that that's going to have and the potential that that could have. I will. Russia isn't weak, but it's not as powerful as made out in recent decades. Okay, Chris. Well, I mean, it depends what your datum point is, I suppose. Russia isn't weak, true, and it's not as powerful as made out. Well, it depends on what you think is not as powerful as it's made out. I mean, Russia has fought all of NATO and is beating all of NATO. What's that, 32 countries? Seems pretty powerful to me, mate. And I have the benefit of being here, unlike probably 99.9% of you guys. So I see stuff. So when you were being told that Russia's running out of missiles 2 years ago, I was seeing stuff thinking, okay. When you lot were being told that the Russian economy is collapsing and all the supermarkets are empty, I was here looking going, that's strange, because everything's full. When you lot were being told that there's bank runs and Russia's run out of money and everybody's queuing at cash points to get cash out, I was looking at the cash points going, that's weird. There's plenty of cash here and there's nobody queuing up. When you lot are told that Russia is running out of fuel and there's queues at the petrol station, I was going in the petrol station buying fuel. When you lot were told that the price of fuel was astronomical and it's bankrupting the country, I was looking and thinking, ain't gone up really in 4 years. So I have the benefit of not just hearing one side of a story. I have the benefit of hearing both sides of the story, because in Russia, you can see Western news, Western channels. It's not censored. Lewis, a lot of people tell me that, but a lot of people are burying their heads in the sand, mate. A lot of people don't want it. You know, they just want to go to work and pay their bloody bills and have a bit of free time at the weekend. It's not too much to ask. No, tone skill. 3 or 4 hours a day, Motum, every day. Ask my wife. Yes, Cruiseman, exactly that. If it's real Russian propaganda, where's my check? Still waiting. So where are you living in? Just asking. Southern Russia, coast of the Black Sea, about 50 miles from Crimea. So what do Russian people think of English people? Thank you, Patrick. It's a good question. As I've said many times, it's been a very humbling experience for me to come here, because I came here thinking that I was going to have to be very careful what I said, where I said it. If they heard an English accent, I could be in trouble. Completely the opposite. If I meet somebody new, 99% of the time, the first thing they say to me is, "Oh, you're from England, fantastic. What do you think of Russia?" That's pretty much the standard thing when I meet someone new. But I've been treated incredibly well by the Russian people that I've met. Yeah, very warm, very hospitable, very genuine. If they invite you into their house, it's because they mean it, not because it's a process. You know, not because, "Oh, you must pop round for coffee sometime. Oh, yeah, I'm free on Tuesday. Oh, yeah, no, I can't do Tuesday." It's not that. If they say you must pop round for coffee, they'll give you the day. They'll say, "Can pop round for coffee tomorrow? Pop round for coffee on Thursday. Come round Friday. What day can you do next week?" Why? Because they mean it. They're genuine. They're sincere. Friends hate you sticking up for Russia. Yeah, I know. Well, it's such a shame. Everybody in the West is just bombarded constantly with this narrative. And unless people have the time, and this is why, you know, this is why all of the groups are pushed together, all of the ethnicities are pushed together to create division, because if you're too busy fighting your neighbour, you haven't got enough time to look at what the government's doing. Patrick, live in Sweden, Putin said we would get consequences joining NATO. Nothing yet. Okay, but did he say what those consequences were? No, he just said there'll be consequences for it. Okay, but he hasn't put a time frame on it, and he hasn't said what those consequences are. Can you honestly say, since joining NATO, your life has improved? Maybe yours has personally. Don't know, maybe you got a better job. Maybe you've moved out. I hear Sweden's crime rate's through the roof. I hear they got mass immigration problems. I hear that they're really struggling financially. Maybe I'm wrong though, mate. Sailor. Open a swimming pool and go for a swim. It'll be refreshing. Yeah. 8 degrees. Don't think so. I don't need refreshing anyway. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I haven't got any vices really. Other than coming on here. 2A freedom. There you go. I'd rather have Russia as an ally. Well, that's the crazy part about all of this. That is the crazy part. Russia probably still would take a call from European leaders. But how many of them ring Russia? How many of them ring Vladimir Putin? Macron was the last one. When was that? A year, 18 months ago? Just to try and threaten. Get on the phone and threaten, you better not do this. Really? Fucking hell. When's a frog ever done anything sensible? So what are they doing? Well, no, nothing. They're not negotiating, are they? They say they want peace. We need a negotiated settlement. No, what they're saying is we want Russia to surrender. It's not a negotiated settlement. They want Russia to capitulate. Russia has said, no, that's not going to happen. They've said, no, that's not going to happen from the start. So what's to negotiate? No respect for unpaid bitches. It's a crock of manure. Okay, mate, well, you don't need to be here. I think that's, you know, guys, as I'm working through the chat, if that's your opinion, if you think I'm talking bollocks, don't be here. There's no need for you to be here, honestly. You know, I'm not paid to do this. You being here doesn't affect my life one way or another. If you agree with me, that's great. If you don't agree with me, hey, that's fine. But if you're just going to come in and just be rude, there's no point in you being here. And if you don't agree with what I'm saying, again, there's no point in you being here. You know, if your attitude is, I'm just full of shit and I'm talking rubbish, then what's the point in listening to me? There's no point. But if you're thinking, okay, well, I might not necessarily agree with what you're saying, but some of what you're saying is starting to make a bit of sense, or some of what you're saying is making me curious, then great, that's the whole point. The whole point is to make people think a little bit, instead of just reading the newspaper or listening to what comes out of the TV. The whole point of my channel is to make people think. Blue skies, swimming pools, Russia. That's the whole point of my channel. I want people to think. Tone scale, well, that's one thing. Yeah, depends who you're talking about. If you think that that's Russia, they only want the rare earths in Donbass. Russia is completely self-sufficient. The only country in the world that produces sufficient amounts of everything that it doesn't need to import anything. So it doesn't need the Donbass, and it didn't need the Donbass, other than to protect the Russians that were being slaughtered. So it depends on which side you're coming down on there, mate. Stephen Digby, I hate the EU. Brexit was supposed to keep us clear. Now Starmer wants to cosy up to them. Do you know what? Brexit, whether you liked it at the time or you hated it at the time, ignore that. Where you are right now is a bit of a disaster. Let's be fair. It hasn't worked out well because it's not been done correctly, because it was half-assed. It wasn't actually, you know, wasn't meant to be, was it? They didn't want it. It got pushed through in a half-assed way. So it's never really been fully successful. But, oh my God, but how lucky people of Britain are that they are not in the EU with what Ursula von der Leyen has done yesterday. Do you understand what she's done? The seizing of Russian assets and putting every EU member state on the hook for billions. So not only the billions they've already spent, not only the billions of Russian assets that they're going to take, which they will have to repay, but also the loans that they are now on the hook for. And Britain isn't part of that, apart from some crazed lunatics want to rejoin the EU and sign you up for that. Dear oh dear. Tone skill, that's very, very unexpected. Very kind of you, thank you. £2. Wow. Not something that happens in my live streams. I don't get donations. I never ask for them. I don't do this for money. Yes, I get paid by YouTube, but I post my YouTube earnings every month in my Telegram channel, and I think it was like £9 last month. Yeah, case in point, year to date, or YouTube life to date, I have not been paid enough by YouTube to cover the cost of a tenth of the equipment that I've bought. Cameras, stabilisers, microphones, etc, etc. So I don't do this for money, never have, never will. Because when you're a slave to the money, well, you can be bought, can't you? And I can't be bought. So, that said, thanks for buying me £2. That'll buy me £2 over here. Will buy me a very large coffee. So I appreciate that. Thank you. I shall have. I'll have a halva raff. That's what I shall have. Do like those. Very nice. Which, to the uninitiated, is a raff is kind of a milky latte-y kind of coffee, and halva is this sweet that's produced over here. It's kind of like marzipan in texture only, not taste. So get marzipan out your head straight away. It's made, I think, with peanuts, I think, or pistachio nuts or something. But it's really nice. You can't eat too much of it because it gets a bit sickly, but it's really nice. And one of the local coffee shops does this coffee, and you can pick stuff like that to go in it. It's really nice. So you've just bought me that, mate. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Elena, hi. Britain are rich, but many British people living in poor condition. Yeah, again, there's a misconception here in Russia that all Britons are rich because, you know, the wages are higher, which they are. But it's all relative. Cost of living is significantly higher as well. So, yeah. Okay. Very, very dangerous times. Indeed. Indeed it is, mate. Hi, is it okay to ask what the conversation is about? Yeah, I mean, it was initially me going on an hour's rant about trying to explain in layman's terms what's actually happened and happening, you know, and likening it to you living in your house and falling out with your neighbour kind of thing, and just rationally going through it and explaining it in rational terms, real world terms, you know, that everybody can understand, rather than a load of jargon. So if you want to go back to the beginning and watch, you'll see what I mean. But that's been the purpose. It's been to explain the situation in layman's terms, to get people to understand why Russia is continuously saying enough is enough, and at some point enough will be enough. Home in Mother Russia. Nail on the head there. Thank you, mate. Don't forget to like. Yeah, guys, you know, double tapping the screen if you're on a mobile, it's a thumbs up. It helps. It does help with the algorithm. You know, channels like mine don't get promoted at all because, you know, we say the uncomfortable truth here. We show the good, the bad and the ugly. And it does make a difference. So, yeah. Oh, well, you're just rude. So, you're gone. I'll get to them all eventually. I will read every comment, by the way. Sup you hating. If nuclear missiles are launched, we're all gone. Potentially. I have given a scenario where that wouldn't necessarily be the case. But certainly if nuclear missiles are launched at Russia, then yes. That's without doubt. Then everybody goes. Because Russia won't just respond with one. It will send everything. So yeah, everything's gone. Digress K. I'm on that. Every country uses money, and XRP you can use in every country. World free speech. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I'm in full support of that theory. XRP is going to run most people over because they are completely unaware of it. So I do absolutely agree with you on what you're saying about XRP. Sent you money for coffee and I've just laid out the coffee that I will be buying with that. So appreciate that, mate. Thank you. Aladdin Sane. I used to know somebody who used to use a handle called Aladdin Sane. David Bowie, wasn't it? Yeah. Play on words. A bit like Norfolk Enchants. which is what NATO has if it decides to declare war against Russia. Norfolk end chance. Well, free speech, yes. Yes, I know, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. XRP, without a doubt, will be running a new financial system. Wholeheartedly agree. You don't need to preach to the converted, mate. Why are all these politicians causing trouble and then expecting the people to fight for them? Yes, Samantha. I mean, is it a rhetorical question? I mean, the simple answer is all politicians, especially Western ones, are, you know, they've all got on the corruption bandwagon. They've all seen the US and how the what they call lobbying, which is legalised bribery, turns, you know, $174,000 a year salary into millions, and means they can start buying beachfront property in Miami. So everybody has seen that and gone, ooh, so all we've got to do is just be a bunch of yes men, bow down to the military complex, take a load of bribes, and yeah, line our pockets. Sounds like a good gig. So that's where they are, and they've all seen that happening in America, and they're all signed up to it now. Ursula, look at her, bless her. Yeah, she likes to produce the text, doesn't she? Yeah, simple answer. None of these politicians care about their country. Vladimir Putin cares about Russia. That's a big difference. But politicians in the West don't care about their country. Macron doesn't care about France or the French people. Starmer doesn't care about Britain or the British people. They are there for a short term only. They are not looking to be there for 20 years. They know they're in a short term gig. Now, if you get a short term job, 4 years or 8 years, and you know that's the maximum term, if you're lucky, what are you going to do? You're going to do, what, overtime? You're going to do additional projects to get paid a bit more? You can do whatever you can to benefit yourself, aren't you? You're not there to benefit the company, because you're going to be gone in a few years, so you couldn't care less. You're going to say you do, because that might progress your career up the ladder a bit, but the reality is, so what, I'm only here for a few years. And that's the politicians, that's the trouble. That's how they think now. They don't care about the people. They care about how much they are going to get paid whilst they're in office, and what kind of job they're going to line up for themselves once they leave office. Shouty bloke, yes, mate. Well, half of it is. I think the global south is fully wised up, which is why BRICS is a thing. World free speech. Pack it in. I know I'm late to the party when it comes to the reading. Where are we? We're in my back garden in southern Russia, just outside a seaside resort town called Anapa, A-N-A-P-A, in your Google Maps. And you will see we're on the coast of the Black Sea, about 50 miles from Crimea. Aaron Vernon, okay mate, dos vidania. Can't be bothered to reason or try to with people like that. Oh dear, genuine guy. You need to do some homework. Research SARMAT, S-A-R-M-A-T. Do some research on that. It's not just Russian propaganda. That's widely accepted by the global community. They understand because, you know, when these things are tested, when their flight paths are tested, when their range is tested, it's fully understood what they can do, what they're capable of. So it's not a case that Russia says, we've got these missiles that can do that, and nobody knows. Russia says, we've got these missiles that they can do this, and then that's corroborated when they're tested. Case in point, the Burevestnik, which got everybody scared recently, and the Orezhnik several months ago, which was a test for the first time in Ukraine. Did you ever see that? Probably not. Just go on YouTube and look for Orezhnik. It's like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's otherworldly. That's just one. The Burevestnik, a nuclear-powered missile. So it's not rocket fuel, it's not conventional, so it's not point A to point B. It's a loitering munition, but it's nuclear if it needs to be. Has a nuclear warhead if it needs to have, or it can have a conventional warhead. But either way, it's nuclear-powered. So it can effectively launch and fly around. They're not entirely sure for how long, but the conservative estimate are several weeks. It can just fly around until it has a signal to go to a designated point and go pop. Then you've got Poseidon. Yeah. Go and have a look at that. Go and educate yourself, mate. I put my head in the sand on this because there's nothing we can do. Life's too short as it is. Terry McAdam, I agree to a point. You know, if you're a working man, you go to work to try and earn some wages to cover the bills. Basically, you work to pay other people's bills nowadays. And that's all you just want an easy life, don't you? As a bloke, that's all we're pretty simple creatures, really. Feed us and fuck us. That's kind of most blokes. You know, we're pretty simple. We don't want the hassle. We just want to get up. Want to be living in a family unit where, you know, we're all happy and we're all safe and we're all fed and we can spend some time together and enjoy each other's company. It's not too much to ask. We don't have the time. But if people don't start waking up and just doing, you know, an email to their MP or having a chat down the pub with people, if they don't start doing that, they're all going to be quiet while people like Ursula von der Leyen, who wasn't elected by you or anybody else, makes decisions that kill your kids. That's ultimately where it ends up. Now, I'm not prepared to do that. I can't physically do anything. It's not like I can, you know, go and have a confrontation with Ursula von der Leyen. But what I can do is dispel the bullshit narrative about Russia that it is snow, bears, gangsters, vodka, horse and cart by showing you Russia, the blue skies and the house in the States. I can show you Russia. I can show you the beach. I can show you the dolphins in the summer swimming around my legs. I can show you the vineyards that we live in. I can do that. So it's not propaganda. It is me giving you a pair of eyes in southern Russia, and now, at this moment in time, a live opportunity to speak to somebody in southern Russia. So please don't think there's nothing you can do. You can always do something. I actually wrote to my MP about a very, 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 very serious matter. And I didn't make any bones about it, that it needed to be taken seriously, what I was discussing. And I got a letter back, and I also got a phone call back from her and a meeting from her. And then the particular matter was then put in front of the Education Secretary, and I had a letter back from them because I decided to take a stand against something that I believed in. And it did make a difference. And I did have my say. So, you know, you can. There's something you can do. Even if it's a 5-minute email, you can do it. Plastic, you ignore me. Tone skill, no, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm just ignoring everybody because I've been taking a time to catch up with the chat, I'm afraid. Russia too scared to go nuclear. Okay, yeah, it was too scared to go into Ukraine, I guess, in 2022, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, Russia's clearly too scared because it's fighting all of NATO at the moment. I mean, it's obviously too scared. Okay, wake up, mate. Don't think he's got down to you. No, Samantha, I'm really behind. Fox, can't read Russian. I have a number of ex-Royal Marine friends and ex-paras, and they tell me our military is in a mess with infrastructure left and right. Yeah, rotten elite commandos, yes. I'll say yes. I won't comment further than that. I can, but I won't. But yes. The MiG, Russia can hit anywhere in Europe in less than 15 minutes. Far less than 15 minutes. And yes. And with Burevestnik now, anywhere in the world. Same with Poseidon. Anywhere in the world now. Which Burevestnik changed the game a little bit because America always had the attitude that it was out of range. Burevestnik has negated that. Fox finding life. I'm sorry, I can't read Russian. So you're in Russia? Yes. Do you live in Russia? Yes. Free speech, we know about XRP. Russia looks lovely. Good weather. It is lovely. The people are lovely. The weather's lovely. Oh, big plane. Shall I show you a big plane real quick? Look, it's up there. I don't like showing planes. There it is. Anyhow. Big plane. I'm watching the plane. Watching the birdie. Yeah. Anyhow. It's too clean to be England. Yeah, it's my back garden. It's nice to be told that it's clean. It's all right. We need to do something with the garden at some point. We've got a nice little orchard here. We've got peach trees and plum. That thing, how that survives, I don't know, but anyhow, it does. Plum trees, peach trees, cherries, apricots. Yeah, nice here in the summer. Yum, yum, yum. Oh, yeah. Big old transport plane, it looks like. Yeah. He's not fighting the whole of Europe at the moment. There's been no full-on engagement. Okay. Well, other than European countries haven't actually put boots on the ground, they've used Ukrainians for that, sorry. It's an interesting concept, and then, you know, 5 posts above, I was told that Russia's too scared. Oh, Russia's the one that's scared? Interesting. No, they haven't put boots on the ground, but they have supplied money, weapons, intelligence. They've done everything but supply the squidgy bit. They trained the squidgy bit, though. Just didn't supply their own version of it. Probably because Ukrainians fight harder. What if I told you your house is mic'd up? What if I told you I don't care? Are you British? Yes. You have a lovely home. Thank you. Beautiful garden. Well, it's quite nice. This is all the wife's work. That's a mulberry, I think. Got some onions up there. Obviously winter, so a lot of it's all dying back. But yeah, this is all the wife's handiwork. Lovely rocks out here. Very pretty colours. But yeah, the wife's handiwork. It's green stuff to me. I have no concept of it. She tells me to dig a hole, I dig a hole. Oh, that's got berries on. Don't know what that is. Anyhow, you make great sense, but you use different. Yeah, well, there's a lot of channels that are giving detailed, in-depth facts, and that goes over a lot of people's heads. I'm just a normal bloke, so I try and put stuff in, you know, straightforward, easy speak language that anybody can understand, because if I can make head and tail of it, then anybody can, because I'm an idiot. So that's what I try and do. And, you know, like I say, I just try to do this to show people that Russians are people, they're not monsters. Very, very, very amazing people. The country is an amazing country. And yeah, I just try and open people's eyes. And if one person looks at a video of mine or a live stream and thinks, okay, well, this is different to what I was expecting, let me have a look, then then that's great. For me, that's great. If somebody just sort of looks at something of mine and thinks enough to go and do a bit of research, make their own mind up, that's all I want people to do. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. But don't come onto my channel and repeat a Western narrative, mainstream media narrative, because you haven't got a brain. You're just repeating what you've read in the paper or what you've been told. If you've done some research, great. If you've been to Russia, great. But if you haven't been to Russia in 20 years, your opinion is irrelevant. It doesn't matter, because Russia isn't the same. It's not the same place. And there are some Russians, I'll say Russians, they've got a Russian passport, but fled to the West 20 years ago and think they know what Russia's all about, and they have no clue. They are clueless. And their opinion doesn't matter, other than that they're a Russian citizen and always will be because they were born in Russia. They're one up on me there. But if they fled to the West 20 years ago, their opinion about Russia isn't worth listening to. It is a moot point. Yes. Should we go in the sauna later, mate? I think we should, shouldn't we? We'll have to go and warm up the tootsies later. Yes, sorry, Toneskill. Yeah, Europe want the rare earths. Yes, yeah, well, everything's about resources, isn't it, ultimately? That's, you know, the Vonda crazy and the Kaya I'm so callous and all the others. Break up Russia, steal the resources, that was the plan. We're all going to get rich. Ooh, that's what they thought. That ain't worked out very well, didn't it? Starmer trying hard to get involved in taking Russian assets. Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's all stupidity because there are a lot of Western assets in Russia. But Russia does everything legally. Everything Russia does is by the book, legally. Now, that's going to be a bitter pill for a lot of people to swallow, but it's a fact. International law is followed. That's why the current situation is the way it is, because it's a point of legality. There's an escalation ladder before you get to war. Russia is on the first rung and has been. It's called the S and the M and the O. That's the first rung. It's a point of legality. It has certain restrictions. Russia operates underneath those restrictions because it's a legal requirement. And yeah, Russia has now initiated a court case in Moscow, which people are going, well, that's a waste of time. Nobody's going to take notice of that. But again, missing the point. If you go to complain to a large organisation and they have an ombudsman, that ombudsman will put you on an escalatory ladder and they will ask you to do certain steps in a certain order. That's what Russia is doing. Russia's court case in Moscow isn't about getting their assets back. It's about fulfilling their legal requirement, because that then enables them to go outside of Russia to other jurisdictions, such as Singapore, where Euroclear has substantial deposits. Once it gets a ruling in Moscow, which it obviously will, it will then take its evidence and its court ruling from Moscow and go to Singapore, for example. And what is its evidence? Well, even the Belgian Prime Minister saying we can't do this, it's illegal. Euroclear saying this is a bad idea, you can't do this. The IMF saying you can't do this. Yeah. So are they going to win that court case? Of course they are. They're going to get their money back? Of course they are. Man, I don't watch no news in America. Me neither. Not mainstream anyway. There's some good people in the US actually. There's some people that have good analysis. But you're not going to get everything from one person. You've got to get lots of places that you get your information from and you can build a picture together. Otherwise you'll just, if you just go to one place to get your news, you're going to have one view. You need to get it from all over the place and make your own mind up. Those berries look like sea buckthorn. Ah, really sharp taste, good for jam. They could well be. Wife? Wife? Nah. She's in a I'm not listening to you mode. Hadley, I wish I could go see Mother Russia. No reason why you can't. Yeah, no reason why you can't just apply for a visa, tourist visa, come and have a look around. Great country, great people, lovely food. Depends where you go for the weather. It's a big country, 11 time zones in one country, 11. It's a big place. And every climate as well. How the Russians done, how the Ukrainian architecture, yeah. We need cooperation, not restriction. That's a lot of nice brickwork, man. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's quite nice the way they build houses out here, actually. All the it's very warm in the winter and very cool in the summer. It's very very cleverly built. So what you're seeing is just cosmetic. It's a pretty, and it's like a blanket, really. The main structure is inside that. There's a cavity, and then there's special blocks that are bonded together, and that forms the main structure. And then this is to make it look pretty. But it also gives another layer. But if you look at the size of the bricks, they are about 50% bigger than the bricks we get in the UK. So bricks in the UK are about there in height and about that long, about to there. So not 50%, but they're also narrower as well. So they're about this wide in the UK. So they're bigger bricks, and they have these dense engineering bricks as well. They're very warm, actually. You can see the underneath of them there. Look. So yeah, this is the prettiness, if you like, but it adds a layer of insulation against the heat in the summer, and insulates us well in the winter. We have underfloor heating, which is not really a thing in the UK. I think it's starting to be a bit more now, but out here, yeah, it's very common. And I've got to say, I love it. No radiators hanging on the wall. And yeah, it's nice on the old tootsies when you're wandering about. You just want to play, don't you, mate? When Daddy's in the garden, you want to play, don't you? Yes, you do. I'll get you. Get out of it. Get you. What you doing? Bless him. We're all waiting for peace to happen before Xmas. No need to stir up nuclear fears. Sailor, not happening. If you're waiting for peace, you've got a long wait, my friend. This conflict will only end on the battlefield. It will not end at a negotiating table, because the Europeans do not want it to. They are permanently throwing a spanner in the works. So it will not end at the negotiating table. It will end on the battlefield. So there is no peace. I try to tell people that I live around those people over there ain't no different from us. They just had to suffer from more harder rule. Yeah, I don't really agree with that, to be honest. I don't think we suffer from harder rule over here. I've never felt so free. I have far more freedoms here. Freedom of speech, for a start. Freedom of travel, freedom of movement. I can drive my car on the beach if I want to. Not on every beach, obviously, but certainly there's some beaches you can just drive your car down onto the beach and you can camp and have a fire. You can have a bonfire or a barbecue in the forest, as long as you're sensible. There's no restrictions to you driving out into the forest because the land's owned by the people. So, yeah, I would argue that I have a more freer life here. That's nice. What's the benefit to mess it up? I'm not sure what you mean, mate. What's the benefit to mess it up? You can't be in the UK then? No, mate. I'm not. Got a dark old rain cloud, though. No, I'm not in the UK. I'm in southern Russia. Just outside a seaside resort town called Anapa, A-N-A-P-A. If you put that in Google Maps, you'll see where I am. About 50 miles from Crimea, and about 250 miles from Sochi, and across the water from Turkey. It'll be a nice sunset tonight, I think. It's over there, usually. just for a time check, it's 3:24 p.m. here on Friday the 19th, I think. Dear, Friday the 19th of December. 3:24 p.m. our time, Moscow time, which is 3 hours ahead of the UK. So it'll be 12:24 in the UK at the moment. Don't know about anywhere else, I'm afraid. Freedom of speech in Russia. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Two ways of saying it. As I was saying to somebody the other day about English, you can take a statement and depending on how you say it, you can make it a positive or a negative. Freedom of speech in Russia. Yeah, right. Or freedom in speech of Russia. Yeah, right. And yeah, you do. Contrary to what you're told, of course, and you're obviously somebody that's never been to Russia. But no. Of messing up negotiations, going to war instead. Yes, I agree. Said hi. What's the benefit of them throwing the spanner in? Well, cover up their corruption, cover up their mistakes. They're seizing the assets to cover up the money they've already stolen. So bearing in mind that most countries have got Russian assets and they've already stolen them, so they want to try and cover that load of nonsense up as well. But it's a delusion. It's they believe their own bullshit, unfortunately. They believe that Russia is weak and can be broken up and they can all get rich. That's the point. So they want the conflict to continue because they just think just a little bit more. We've nearly got Russia. The Russian economy is collapsing. Think about every headline you've seen and heard over the last 4 years. Everyone. Russia's running out of missiles. They're using shovels. They're taking chips out of washing machines. That was a good one. They're running out of petrol. There's queues at the petrol station. All lies. There's no food in the supermarkets. Just think of any headline you've seen over the last 4 years and then tell me which one has come out to be true. Do you remember at the start of the war when Putin said Moldova and the Baltics were next? No, he didn't. Again, same as he didn't say that victory will be in 3 days. That was, which US general actually said that, and then it was attached to Putin. Russia said it's going to be over in 3 days. No, they never did. US general said that. That was his belief based on the way that the US conducts war, which is like they did in Iraq. Blanket bomb the hell out of everything and then send in the ground troops. Russia doesn't conduct war like that. It will do, but it doesn't with Ukraine because they're brother Slavs. There's a lot of Russians that live in Ukraine, a lot of Ukrainians that live in Russia. So not just going to go in there and slaughter everybody. But once it steps out of Ukraine, if it does, it's a different ballgame. 9 hours ahead of central United States. Oh, okay. Wrong been twice. Okay. I've only seen Russian movies and in books. Oh, sorry, Marie. Ron, been twice. Oh, you've been to Russia twice. Okay. Well, I mean, this would get into a whole debate of where you've been, how long you've been for, when was it. Yeah, but I think that kind of proves my point, really. I've only seen Russia in movies and books. Yeah. Well, Hollywood's not a good example of Russia. Russia is always the bad guy in Hollywood films. And I think if you watch any Hollywood film, you will see a reference to Russia. Some are obviously blatant, Russia is the enemy, full stop. And others are very subtle, and there'll be little subtle hints like, the Russians, yeah, you know what a joke they are, and, all of that kind of stuff. I don't look at Hollywood films the same way now. It kind of spoils it once you know that Hollywood is propaganda. Once you know that it's a narrative that it has to portray Russia in a bad light. You kind of, you look at the films sort of almost waiting, how long is it going to be before the Russians are bad? Yeah. And then when they are bad, they always lose. Yeah, Hollywood, eh? He still says it now, does he now? Okay, well, I don't know where you're getting that from. I've no clue, other than it must be some Western publication. It's not based on any kind of reality, but if you can find the speech where Putin says that he's going to attack the Baltic states, please send it to me on Telegram. You won't, because he's never said it. But, you know, hey. Good and bad about every country and rulers. Yep, I agree. Absolutely agree. Doesn't matter what country you live in, but the less interaction you have with the government, the better. You don't want government in your life, doesn't matter what country you're in. You just want to be a law-abiding citizen, get on with your life, enjoy your friends and family, have nice holidays, eat nice food. That's one of the things that's getting more and more harder to do in the West. One of the things that's great about Russia. Don't have GMO here, it's banned, it's illegal, cannot modify the food. So we have good quality food here. It's just one thing. And case in point, the wife's spraying the fruit trees, look. Grow her own. Again, the climate permits it, you can't grow peaches in the UK. Reels, what are you doing, you fool? Hello, and don't mention my name much, it's hard to pronounce it. Right, yeah. Is that a Russian C, which is an S? So that would, here, that would be Sean Solis. Hadley. When I worked in the entertainment business, I worked quite a few movies. I know that shit is bullshit. Yeah, it is indeed. But it's surprising how many. Once you know, not once you know, it's not that you don't know, it's just that you probably don't focus on it. You just watch a film for what it is. Like, you know, when John Wick first came out, brilliant film, great. But once you know that the Russians are bad and they're portrayed in a certain way all the time, then you look at it and you think, well, yeah, that's a good point. There's an awful lot of nationalities in the world. Why is it always the Russians? Why is it always the Russians that are the adversaries? Why is it always the Russians that are the enemies? Why are the Russians always the gangsters? Why are the Russians always the evil people? Why are the Russians always the losers? Why do they always lose? Why can't it be the Spanish or the Italians or the Germans? Or can't be the Germans, can it? We know what happened last time. You get my point. It's always Russia, isn't it? Once you know that, you start watching the film. Even films that aren't action films soon turn into Russia bashing. Once you know that, it kind of starts to open your eyes a little bit to Hollywood and the movie industry, and you realise it's just part of the narrative, it's part of the propaganda. And if you come to Russia, your world will be blown. It really will. Because it's nothing like you think it is. Is it, Reels? What are you doing? No, it's nothing like you think it is. Good analogy, I agree with a lot of it, but did the bully throw rocks over the fence at the beginning? They shouted over the fence and threw rocks at your friends on their side of the fence. Well, no, if you want to go back to 2014 and the Maidan coup, and people burnt alive inside the government building in Maidan Square, a coup orchestrated by the CIA, fully accepted and proven. Victoria Nuland was there, Cookie Nuland, handing out the cookies. Snipers on the roof, yada, yada, yada. Won't bother to go into all of that. It's easily discovered on the internet. But yeah, if you go back to 2014, if you then go forward a little bit, people say, oh, Russia invaded Crimea. No, it didn't. Russia listened to the third referendum, I believe. They had 3 referendums, 2 of which the people of Crimea voted to join Russia. One, under dubious circumstances, apparently they wanted to stay in Ukraine, but that was the middle one, so that doesn't count, because it's only the last one that matters, isn't it? I think, as the pub landlord said, it's the final that counts, not the heats. So, last referendum, rejoin Russia. Overwhelmingly as well, like 90-something%. The main reason being that when Russia agreed to give Crimea to Ukraine, you must remember that, it wasn't Ukrainian territory. When Russia agreed to give Crimea to Ukraine, it was on the understanding that certain things were done. The infrastructure was improved for a start. And that didn't happen. No infrastructure improved. The roads weren't maintained, new roads weren't built. In fact, the water was turned off because they wanted to punish the ethnic Russians. So if you start there and then fast forward to 2022, and in those 8 years, 15,000 Russians were killed from the neighbours throwing rocks and stones. Yeah, I think Russia showed restraint, and yeah, I think they had every right to react. I'm not Russian, I'm Asian Filipino, actually. Oh, accurately. Okay. I definitely don't know how to pronounce your name then. Is it only a small town where you are, or is it a city? So I'm in a village. I'm in a rural village in Russia. Go and have a look at some of the... in fact, I think the last live stream I did, I was wandering around the village. You can have a little look if you're interested. But yeah, little village. Hadley, but even in John Wick, those Russians, they didn't have no influence on how I felt. I already had a stereotype of how those people were, and it didn't seem that ruthless to me. Yeah. Oh, it's just a film, and it's just fiction. It's just nonsense, isn't it? You know, it's one superhero that's not a superhero kind of thing. It's all bullshit. We all know that. It's not real life in any way, shape or form. But it's always Russians are portrayed as being the evil ones. And you've got to ask why. Why? Can't just be coincidence. It's going on for decades. Why? Well, to get into your mindset, the Russians are evil. Because if you believe that, then it's very easy to tell you that Russia is a bad place and they're up to no good. Because you already believe that Russians are evil, because you've been beaten to death with it over the decades through Hollywood and the press. Yeah, man, I don't have no problem coming over there and going by their rules. That's what you do when you're a visitor in their country. You've got to honour all their laws and rules, everything would be... Well, let's face it, nobody has a problem going to Dubai and following their rules, do they? Everybody knows that, you know, there's certain restrictions about drinking, although I think Dubai is a lot more liberal, actually, but say Saudi or UAE or whatever. We all understand that if we go there, if you're a thief, you get your hand chopped off. You know, they've got funny restrictions about alcohol in public. You know, you can go in prison for that, and women must be covered up in certain areas and all of that. That's their rules, that's their laws, that's their traditions. We have no problem with that because it's their country. But apparently it's different with Russia. Why is it? Well, Russia's got rules, Russia's got laws. The main difference with Russia's laws is that they're adhered to, and when they're broken, there are consequences. Not just talk, not just, oh, if you break the law, this is what will happen, and then you go to court and you're told you're a naughty boy. No. If you break the law and you're caught, the penalties are this, and they are what will happen. So people tend not to fuck about too much out here. Case in point, I haven't seen any crime since I've been here in 2.5 years. I haven't seen any, not even any road rage, nothing, zero. So, yeah, I mean, in the UK, road rage was a daily occurrence, and certainly every Friday or Saturday night in the town there were fights and punch-ups. I haven't seen one since I've been here. What's that tell you? Does it tell you everybody's scared? Or does it tell you that people have got a different level of respect out here? I'd argue it's the latter. I'm a sub to you, count some more. Thank you. It's very kind of you. Yeah, please hit the thumbs up button. It costs you nothing. If you don't agree with what I say, that's absolutely fine. I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody on Telegram about anything. I don't profess to know it all, but I am in Russia. And you do have the opportunity to ask me a question. You know, whether it's something that you think is right compared to what I say, or, you know, different, or you're just curious about something, you have the opportunity to ask me. So join the Telegram group. the Plastic Russian on Telegram. Ask away. And whenever I'm live streaming, I'll always answer or read every single question. If it's abuse, I'll just delete it and ban the person, because I can. It's not a democracy. This is my channel. So if you want to make the rules, start your own channel. It's not a vote. Is he being rude? Let's have a vote on it. No, I decide if someone's being rude. But yeah, if you come on the channel, just chuck a load of abuse, then I'll delete you. But if you come and repeat a Western narrative and just, Slava Ukraini, if you come and start all that shit, I'll delete you. But if you want to come and have a conversation, I'm happy to do that. Something like 3 or 4 channels, cool. So bye. Are they landmines? No, they're not. That's actually the septic tank. So you have a septic tank for your waste here. It's a bio septic tank, so it never needs emptying. Not like the ones that you probably are aware of in the UK. It's like a tank that you get, and it has to be pumped out every 6 months or something. These things are bio. They've got different areas, different sections in them with different stuff going on, and yeah, you put crap in one end and you get decent stuff out the other end, apparently. I'm not going to go and drink it. I'm not going to test the theory. Oh, there we go. That makes me think Russia's got it going on, fighting for their country. Yeah, yeah. These are tough people. You would only get the sense of that if you lived out here for a while. But you know that these people understand what war is. You know that these people are a tough race. You know that they understand what it means to stand up for their country and their family. And if you come out here with Western attitude, where you got your chest puffed out and you're going to shout and scream and be Mr. Hardman, you're going to get sat on your ass real quick, because they don't work like that. They don't operate like that. And they certainly won't put up with that. Oh, old plane going. Oh, it's a different plane. What kind of plane that is? That might turn this way in a minute. We'll see. I'll show you if it does. It's over there, look. Paul Gartside, who are the best and worst YouTube accounts to follow about this and life in Russia in general? I already watched Sam and a couple of others. Oh dear. I mean, it's horses for courses, isn't it? It's like saying what are the best wheels to put on a car. Personal preference, mate, really. I don't really, and I'm the worst person to ask, because I don't watch other YouTube channels. Occasionally I will watch a Sam video if he asks me to, but I don't watch anybody's YouTube channels because I don't have the time, and I don't have the inclination, you know. I watch Matt Armstrong, believe it or not, just because it's the industry that I used to work in, so to speak, you know, repairing crash cars, and I have an interest in it, but just purely because it's half an hour or an hour of, you know, brain dead TV kind of thing. I haven't got to give it any thought other than watch it for what it is, laugh at the way that they go about things, cringe at the way that they repair stuff, look in horror and think, oh my God. But, you know, he's been very successful in his channel, and it's interesting. I mean, it gets a bit stupid sometimes, you know, a bit cringe-worthy, and you just think, oh God, grow up. But no, in general, you know, it's harmless entertainment, so I watch that. But I don't really watch YouTube so much. Watch a lot of channels on Telegram. and some independent stuff. But there are a couple of channels you can have a look at. A Home in Mother Russia. He's Glyn. He's an ex-Brit who's been in Russia for many years now. And is currently building a house. So you can have a look at his channel. How to build a house. He's very precise and very particular about his house building, is Glyn. None of this chop it up with a chainsaw malarkey. Oh no. Mitered joints, sir. That's what we like to see. Sam obviously will show you the Vladimir region, the good, the bad and the ugly. Dear, I don't really know. Like I say, I don't really watch YouTube, so I'm the wrong person. You're just going to have to go and have a look and find stuff that sort of, rings a bell with you. I don't blame him. You say no crime in 2 years. That'd be willing to protect and fight for too. Not sure what you mean. How much longer do you see the war going on? Until, simple, the war will continue until the terms specified by the Russian government are met. That is a neutral Ukraine, no NATO. No NATO troops, a small, limited army, maximum 200,000, I would suggest, probably less. No nuclear weapons, of course. Certainly a non-NAZI regime. That has to be eliminated. So yes, once the terms of the S, the M and the O have been met, then the war will end, if you want to call it that. And it won't end at the negotiating table, because the Europeans and Zelensky are not prepared to negotiate. They talk about peace, but they're just paying lip service to it. Peace on their terms, that's not peace. That's surrender, and you can't dictate to the winning side that they should surrender, and you certainly can't dictate terms to them. So that's when the war will end. Irvin, good afternoon. Hello, cheers. Our day is starting. I get what you mean. Typing sausage fingers like me, mate. Our day is starting. You're absolutely correct. Great to see you again. The knee is normal, and the plan is still going forward. Smash the like button for Chris. Thank you, mate. Thank you. So, would you say the knee surgery was the right thing? Would you do it again? Some say they'd never do it again. Probably a path I'll have to head down in years to come. Hopefully quite a few. Old Bob, how am I treated as a Brit out here? Amazingly well. Amazingly well. Yeah, very, very politely, very warmly, very surprising, very humbling. Been reduced to tears. I'm hardened to it now. I'm not hardened to it, but I'm used to it more now. But certainly in the early days, there were a few occasions when I was reduced to tears, because perfect strangers being completely lovely to you in a country you don't expect them to be is quite, can sort of take your breath away a little bit. But yeah, I'm used to the Russian warmth now. These people are wonderful. There's no two ways about it. There's always going to be one rotten egg, of course. Of course. I'm not suggesting that every Russian is wonderful. But as a race, Russians, I've got to say, are lovely people. They are not the monsters that Ursula von der Leyen and her cronies portray. It's completely false, complete bullshit, it's complete lies, it's evil lies. These people are lovely. Very friendly, very warm, very caring, very helpful, very genuine, and very sincere. They don't talk bollocks. They don't say, have a nice day, and then behind your back say, yeah, I couldn't care less. They don't do that. There's no fake here. They're genuine people. If you're an idiot, they'll tell you you're an idiot, but they'll make you a cup of tea afterwards. They don't hold a grudge like that. They're very genuine people, and it's incredibly refreshing to live amongst people like that. You know exactly where you are, you know exactly where you stand. It's like this: I already know Mother Russia is a beautiful country, and it's despicable to think about the type of nuclear war destroying Russia or America. Yeah, we shouldn't have to, should we? Yeah, I agree, Hadley. It seems like America, anytime the president got politically closer to Russia, everybody done. Well, it's not everybody, it's the warmongering neocons. Because these people and the military-industrial complex, it's all about money. Their donors are the military-industrial complex. And the military-industrial complex needs war. It needs war for profit. That, you know, if you make weapons, you're not making tea cakes. So if somebody's holding a garden party, you ain't benefiting from that. But if the neighbour wants to go to war with the other neighbour, you do benefit from that. And hopefully you can sell weapons to both sides. That's the goal. So if you have a military-industrial complex that buys politicians, that lobbies politicians, that legally bribes politicians, then don't be surprised when the politicians support war. I've worked for the Dawn 5 different times when I worked 5 Miss USA shows. When Don ran Miss US pageant. Okay. Chris used to watch Garage 54. They are absolutely mental. As a former engineer, I'm blown away at their antics. Okay. Yeah, mate, I might do when I find the time. I don't really have the time to just sit and stare at YouTube. You know, I watch the occasional film, but yeah, I mean, winter's here now, so we're not spending a lot of time outside. Although I have been outside for, I don't know how many hours now. How long have I been rattling on for? An hour and 42, no, 142 minutes. Shit, nearly 2.5 hours. I've been walking around in a t-shirt. Look. But yeah, I mean, winter's here, so we don't spend a lot of time outside. In the summer, always outside, or in the pool, or down the beach, or, you know, going to a vineyard somewhere, or going down the coast somewhere, going to look at the lakes, whatever, the mountains. Drove through the mountains the other day, actually. Me and the wife went out all day for a drive. We're going to do another expedition soon. When I do, I'll do some videos. Don't really bother too much with videos now. You know, because my channel is shadow banned, it doesn't get a lot of attention on the videos, and you go out to make a specific video and it gets 300 views and you just sort of think, what's the point? Yeah, I'll have to have a look at that. I won't make any promises though. Birch Studio, yeah, see, you can go because you're a retard. Dos Vidania. Putin needs to go, what, on holiday? Go where? Graham Smallbrain, is that what that says? Small brain. Putin needs to go. What do you know about it, mate? You idiot. Absolute clown. Can't be doing with that, as you can tell. I have little patience for fools. I don't suffer them. Don't need to. Anyhow, guys, I've been wandering around for 2.5 hours in the garden, waffling on. If you've got any questions, join my Telegram group, the Plastic Russian on Telegram. Send me a message. See if I can help answer your question. If you want to have a chat about something, if you've got an opinion, if you don't agree with me, that's fine, no problem. If you're rude, you'll get deleted. But if you want to be polite and have a conversation, it can be a heated debate, it's no problem with that. But I draw the line at rudeness. Manners cost nothing. But anyhow, I've been wandering around for a couple of hours now, 2.5 hours. Might fire up the sauna, go and warm my cockles, or missus, play with the cat. But thanks for joining me. for me ranting, please hit the thumbs up button. Please like, please share, please subscribe if you haven't. It does all make a difference. It's the only thing that makes a difference. Channel doesn't do anything at all other than for people like you sharing it. So I appreciate the likes, I appreciate the subscriptions, I appreciate the sharing, and the fact that the channel's got well over 5,000 people now as subscribers blows my mind. Really does. I'm genuinely very appreciative of that. Don't know when our next live, don't know when our next video, but hopefully you get a notification, but probably not. So just keep an eye on the channel, I guess. But in the meantime, thanks very much for joining me in the back garden, wandering around with my glasses on my head. I'll see you in the next one.